Всем привет! This is Vladimir Smal, and I'm excited to be part of Humans of Telecom.
Hey everyone, a very warm welcome to Humans of Telecom, the Unplugged podcast. This is your host Anurag Aggarwal, Chief Revenue Officer at GMS. As you all know, this podcast takes you behind the scenes of the fast-paced world of telecom and showcases the human side of some of the most well-known individuals within this industry. And today's guest is one such individual who is extremely popular within the telecom and CPaaS space, and the entire industry loves him for both his facets, whether it's being an excellent professional or being a wonderful human being and a friend. Recently, his popularity was reaffirmed in the ROCCO 2024 survey of the most influential people in our telecom space, wherein he made it to the coveted top 25 list. If I talk about his professional background, this man has spent over 15 years in a single organization. And even though he's recently embarked on an adventurous entrepreneurial journey, I'm sure for many in the industry, his name is still synonymous with his previous organization as well. Anyhow, whether my claim is true or not, I leave that for you to take a call. But at this very moment, please join me in welcoming Vladimir Smal, co-founder and CEO at AVISO Messaging. Vlad, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this journey. We'd love to hear more about you. Which part of the world do you belong to? And from where are you joining this podcast today?
Hello, Anurag. First of all, I'm really glad to be here today. Thank you for inviting me to your great podcast. So my roots come from Russia and neighboring countries of former Soviet Union, which includes Ukraine, Belarus, and Estonia. My last name that people occasionally pronounce as Small is actually of Ukrainian origin, and it should sound like Smile. I was born in the Soviet Union, in the beautiful city of St. Petersburg that was then called Leningrad, and today I'm connecting from Spain.
Wonderful, Vlad. It's so nice to have you on the show. And I think just like your surname's pronunciation goes, Smile, I think that's how it is when we all interact with you. So we look forward to our conversation today, buddy. So let's start on hearing a bit more about Vlad's journey. While I briefly touched upon it, but we'd love to hear it from the horse's mouth. So let's hear more about how's your childhood been? How did you get into the world of telecom? Was it by accident or was it planned? And how has the entire journey been? So let's hear it from you.
Sure. So I started to work quite early, actually. I always wanted to be independent from my parents and have my own money. So I was taking part-time jobs from the age of 17 while still studying. In 2008, I graduated from the university with a bachelor degree in linguistics. I realized at that time that I didn't want to pursue scientific or teaching career or become translator. So I decided to enter an evening master program in the Higher School of Economics and started looking for my first full-time job for the morning and daytime before classes. My main criteria was that it should be an international company where I could use my language skills, communicate with people from other countries, and that I should have an ability to travel for business because that was something that really excited me. So I was sending out the CVs to various international companies. And then at some point, I got a call from some guy from a company that I haven't heard before at all. He started explaining to me for a long time, like 1 hour, about VoIP, voice over internet. At that time, I had no any clue what it was. I've never been interested in telecom that much, and that long call honestly didn't help me to understand it. But I decided to give it a try. I had some tests and a very long interview in the company, which ended with a conversation with LANCK CEO at that time, Michael Didak. He was asking me of my previous experience in sales because the position was for the voice sales team. So I told him about one of my part-time job, which was in a souvenir shop where I was consulting and selling souvenirs to tourists in the center of St. Petersburg. And he told me, so you know how to sell matryoshkas. And matryoshka is a very famous Russian souvenir that is like a set of dolls that fit inside each other. And he told me, well, if you know how to sell matryoshkas, then you should be able to sell voice traffic. So that occasional part-time job in a souvenir shop actually helped me to join LANCK Telecom. So I started in September 2008. At the beginning, the job was not really exciting. I was a really junior sales manager position. Didn't have much to do because, as it usually happens, I got just some inactive accounts. But then all of a sudden, in a couple of months, one senior sales manager left the company and I got quite many accounts and things went much better. And I started to really enjoy my job. Then in 2012, I got promoted to a market manager of quite big territory, which included Middle East, Africa, Central and South Asia. And this was essentially my first team lead position. So due to this vast area, vast region, I was traveling a lot, as I wanted. And I met a lot of my current telecom friends during that period all over the world. And I really, really liked what I was doing. And then in middle of 2018, there was a open position within the company for head of sales for SMS. So I suggested myself as a candidate, and shortly after I got accepted. So I started to work as head of sales for SMS, and like my voice journey has ended, but my messaging adventures began. That was, I think, a very right decision, which helped me to really progress and significantly grow LANCK business in SMS. And in 3 years, from a side business, we managed to grow messaging to the size of voice business within LANCK, and has become one of the major pillars for the company. I spent almost 15 years altogether in the company. Then, as you know, I took a different step. Honestly, I was not thinking for a change, but then I got an exciting offer to start and manage a new company in SMS, which was in partnership with a voice company that is owned by a very charismatic person called Alberto Grunstein. Together, we founded the company, which is called AVISO Messaging. And of course, Anurag, how competitive the current market in messaging is. And so this decision may look as a total adventure. But for me, it was definitely a next step and an opportunity to grow, to do something on my own, and to try the shoes of an entrepreneur. So I took my chances and moved on, and it's been a great journey so far. And I'm looking forward to new challenges and new adventures.
Wonderful, Vlad. I think that's a very interesting story that we've all got to hear. So, someone who started by selling, how do you pronounce that? Matroshka, right?
Proshka, yeah.
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 So, from that to being the co founder and CEO of a company in your own right, I think you had a very exciting journey. Now that you've embarked on this very adventurous journey of starting an absolutely new venture, I'm wishing you all the very best. And we do hope in the times to come there are many more success stories you can share with our listeners.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Anurag. Thank you.
All right. And within this fantastic journey of yours so far, if there is one moment, Vlad, which you'd like to mention to our listeners, something which is very impactful or meaningful, what would that one moment be?
Yeah, so there were quite a number of memorable moments, of course, but I think there were two most impactful ones for me. The first moment was when I got promoted and moved from voice team to messaging team. Well, as I said, it was not easy to leave, but not only because changing the product, but because of very good and close personal relations with voice team, with whom I grew up together as a telecom professional. And it was not very easy to adapt to my new messaging colleagues, for whom at the beginning I was just like an alien, So that was the first one. And the second one, for sure, is when after 15 years in one company, I finally decided to leave LANCK. My last working day was in the end of December last year. And that was actually LANCK Christmas party. My messaging team, including my boss, Dmitry, shot a very touching video, which was shown on the stage during the party. It was about how much they respected and valued me as their manager, and that they were grateful to me for my contribution, and even that their doors will still be open for me if something doesn't work out with my new project. And it was a total surprise to me, and it was a very, very humble moment. So I even cried, and I never cried at work before, I think. So, but after this video, I couldn't help myself. So it was a very, very impactful moment.
Yeah, I can totally resonate with that. Having worked in an organization for a long term myself, I can understand that feeling when you move out from that family. But
Yeah.
I guess life always has a lot more in store to offer. And let's hope that the decision which you've taken makes you push way ahead and further up north as you keep scaling new heights.
Yeah. Okay. I hope so too.
Absolutely. All right. And now moving to the human side. So let's hear more about Vlad. Well, so many of us know you so well, but if there is something shocking or unknown about Vlad, what would that one thing be?
I don't know if that is shocking or not, but I guess that's something that only few people in the industry know. So I come from a family with 4 kids, which is not very common in our country. I have an older sister, an older brother, and a twin sister. So when my mom got pregnant for the third time, our family was not really sure that they could actually afford having a third child because it was late 80s, which was not a very easy time in the Soviet Union. My mom at that time had a 2 years old son. She didn't work. Only my father worked. However, my mom really insisted on keeping the baby. And then when during screening they found out that there are actually two kids, it was a bit of a shock, but the decision was already taken. So both of us, my sister and I, were like 3 kilo weight, and I was not able to turn over in the womb because there was not enough space apparently. So I was born with hypoxia, but still, I'm here, and I'm very very thankful to my mom for her persistence, and I guess this is something that I take from her as well.
Interesting. I can totally imagine that would have been a very unexpected moment, and
Mhm.
you have plans for something else and something totally different and much more than expected that happened. So, well, we are where we are today. So, all good
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
All right. And beyond that, if there are any passions or any other interests of yours, how do you recharge yourself? What can you share with our listeners?
Well, I have a lot of things that help me to recharge, and I cannot name just one passion. I like traveling, of course, spending time with my family or meeting with my friends. Sometimes I like to stay alone and walk or be driving the car, listening to the music, singing. I also really enjoy to do some sport activities like football, volleyball, or try new sports like paddle or surfing. In general, I'm a very easygoing person. So if there is something interesting to do, some new experience, I would definitely go for that.
Wonderful. And I think that shows because we've interacted so many times. I've always seen you're extremely fit and you are extremely active, and not one moment have I ever seen you being tired. I mean, and this is after almost knowing you for 10 years. So I think all these passions and all these interests of yours, they've kept you quite on your toes, and it's been a good journey for you.
Yeah, probably.
All right. And now we play a game, a very interesting one that is, wherein I generally suck at it. I'm not really good, I must confess. But let's see if today something different is in store for me. So we are going to ask you to give us three statements. Two of them have to be truths, one of them has to be a lie. And I'll try and guess which one of them is a lie. So do you have three such statements for us today?
Yes, I got this statements for you. So my first statement is my name could have been Grigori or Gregory. Second
Okay.
one, I'm married to my ex-classmate. And the third one, I have visited more than 60 countries on 5 continents.
Hmm. Well, if you ask me, all three of them seem very interesting, and I think all three seem quite possible. So let's hope that you did manage to marry the love of your life, who's your ex classmate. So I'm going to say that's a truth. 60 countries, that's pretty interesting, and I think that's quite possible, but I'm going to take a chance and say that's possibly a lie, and which means I could be talking to Gregory Smal today as well. So I'm going to say that that one is a truth as well. So the first two are truths, and the last one is a lie. So am I right out here?
Apparently, Anurag, you understand me quite well now. Yeah, you're totally right.
Interesting. So let's hear a bit more about your romantic journey and how did things go about with your ex classmate, and did you guys always like were you always a couple from the start, or was there some interesting twist to it?
No, I don't think there was some specific twist, but yeah, we were friends at school, and then we kept communicating during the university time, and then it all went became a partnership, and then we got married. We are together for 13 years. Yeah, so it's been a good journey together.
Amazing. And what about the name change? So what's the significance of Grigory and why Vladimir instead?
Oh, I already told you that there are 4 kids in our family, and that the unexpected third and fourth were me and my sister. So my older brother and sister names are Maria and Alexander. But there is a very famous poet, Pushkin, that everybody in our part of the world know, and he had 4 children. So his children names were Maria Alexander, and then Natalia and Gregory. So everybody was saying, okay, you're gonna have a boy and a girl, so you need to name them after Pushkin's kids. But then my father said, I don't know how you were gonna call the boy, but I'm gonna call the girl after my wife. So my sister's name, Tatiana, is the same as my mom's name. And then essentially my mom decided, okay, then we're going to call the boy as the father. So my father's name and my name is Vladimir.
Gosh, I must say that, I think these are the perils of having multiple children, then all the permutations and combinations and all that goes into it. I think that's quite evident in your story so far. But interesting. So it's good to see that things worked out. And we have a person by the name of Vladimir with us today on this call.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, in this section, Vlad, while there are so many interesting aspects about your life that you mentioned, if there is one thing that you could possibly change about your life, what would that one thing be?
So I have to admit that because of my active work and a lot of travel, I missed a lot of time at home. And I think if you ask me what is one thing that I would like to change about my life, would be to spend more time with my daughter. Um, because, yeah, can never be returned during her early years, and not only traveling but also working hard, working a lot in office. So yeah, that's the thing that I would change.
I can again totally resonate with that, buddy. I think in an industry wherein, staying still is not something that is possible for a long time. I think that's something which I can totally understand. And I'm sure many of our listeners who also come from the same industry can relate to. And now, all the more, I see that you're quite out and about almost at every event, at every conference. I guess when you're starting up a new company, all the more the effort required to get things rolling and build that momentum is very high. So I can totally imagine that even now you must be leading as stressful and as hectic and as jet setter a life as you've been leading all these years. Would that be a correct statement?
Well, I try now, to be honest, to let's say to improve my work life balance and spend more time with the family, and yeah, just limit the time I spend for my work. So I guess you can do it, but maybe different people have different way to do it. For now, I think I'm getting better at it. I'm improving my skills.
Awesome. And I wish you all the very best for keep improving on this one very, very important skill of spending time with your close ones all the time.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, buddy, while we are having a wonderful conversation, but we are finally down to our final section, our sign off section. So, what we have is what we call the signature question. What does being human mean to you? What sort of a human being would you want the world to remember you as?
Well, being human for me means, first of all, being kind, being able to help, to support, and to try find good in people around you, and also help them to live a better life, upon your capacity. And I would like to be remembered myself as a person who cared and helped people, who was from one side cheerful, optimistic, kind, but at the same time very reliable, determined, and probably successful in what I did.
Well, those are many adjectives which you added out here, but the interesting part is that for all our listeners, each of them is very true. So for sure, I think, Vlad, you're doing an amazing job at living up onto all these ideals. And I do wish you all the very best. And I do hope that very soon our paths cross again and we can head out to a party together. What say you?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to meeting you again in one of the parts of the world, whatever it is.
Well, yes, let's hope so too. So on that note, thanks a lot for your time, Vlad. And as always, to our wonderful listeners here, thanks a lot for tuning into the show. We hope this episode gave you a good glimpse of the human side of Vladimir Smal, someone who started by selling Russian dolls and is now acing the telecom space, someone with a very fascinating and interesting birth story, someone who has shown his loyalty and dedication to an organization and yet has now exemplified the courage to take the plunge of going onto the entrepreneurial journey, and finally, a wonderful human being and an amazing friend. That for us is Vladimir Smal. So, if you enjoyed today's episode, do stay tuned in because we shall soon be releasing yet another episode and another compelling story from the telecom space. And do follow the podcast on your preferred streaming channel. On behalf of Humans of Telecom, this is your host Anurag Aggarwal signing off for now. Take care.